When it comes to ranged weapons, the Bar of Light is the best one in Breath of the Wild. With insane attack power, incredible range and infinite durability, it's a game-changing weapon of epic proportions, especially when powered up with weapon modifier corruption. Yet despite this, there's still something missing in the game, something to go really well with said bow. That being a powerful yet unbreakable melee weapon like the message not found in Tears of the Kingdom. This would go really well with the Bar of Light and give Link the ultimate equipment for his journey ahead. Fortunately though, we now have one. We now have a melee weapon that can match the Bar of Light's power and utility, the Ultra Obliterator. Yep, the one-hit Obliterator now has a new form you can unlock in game. What's more, this isn't no ordinary Obliterator. Oh no, this one has no downsides at all. It doesn't reduce you to a quarter of a heart, you don't lose it if you reload while it's equipped, and even glows ominously when used. It's the perfect weapon for the hero and enough to carry him throughout the entire game. Here's how to get it. First, make sure you have access to one-hit Obliterator trial on the Great Plateau. Complete the first 3 shrines as usual. Then, make sure your travel medallion is active in the world. Start the Obliterator mission and enter the last shrine. Save inside, then teleport away to end the Obliterator quest. That's part 1. Time for the wrong warp aspect. So, head over to the mounted archery minigame and start the minigame. But instead of playing normally, go up here and wait. When you're about 10 seconds remaining, jump, glide and land on a wild horse. Wait for the time to run out while still trying to throw Link off. Choose to exit the minigame, then reload your save inside the shrine, then teleport to the travel medallion. This sets up a wrong warp to the shrine, so if you have a save and reload, you end up inside that shrine. Test if you want, then move on. Time for the inventory slot transfer part. Yeah, it's that old chestnut again. The same trick used to get the Bar of Light. Keep your original Obliterator, corrupt your arrow counts, all that good stuff. But we're not using the typical way. Instead, we're corrupting our inventory big time. We're going to negative M count territory. So what is this M count stuff? Well, it's kind of complicated. The game matches 3 inventories, although only 2 of them are the ones we care about. Save data and game data. And by default, the M count is the number of used slots in save data. When you reload the game, it copies everything from save data to game data. Then, it removes all the inventory slots from the visible inventory and replaces it with stuff found in game data. That way, things that trial the sword and Eventide Island can remove your items and give them back to you at the end. IST breaks this setup. T-slots are broken and don't get removed from the visible inventory when the data is transferred to game data. So, you get both the copied slot and the original one, hence the duplicate items. Of course, it does get a bit more complex. Slots with 999 items or more are skipped, as are key items. Regardless, the M count goes down by the slots broken, and when you reload, goes up the number of broken slots cloned due to IST setup. So, if you want a negative M count, we need to break at least as many slots as with inventory items, plus a few more. Simple, right? Well, not so fast, because reloading will clone any item slots that are possible to clone. So if we have anything that can be cloned, it will be, and the number will increase by the number of slots cloned upon reload. So all we actually need to do is count our active inventory slots, count the number of items that will be cloned, then add the 2 numbers together and break down many slots plus a few more. Either way, do that with your own stuff. Regardless, once you have the slots broken, hit an autosave and reload to enter the shrine. Reach the end of the shrine. The usual cutscene should play, and it should be very messed up. The Obliterator will be on the floor and Link will be holding nothing. Just watch as usual. Then check your inventory once you regain control. you should find a strange obliterator in a tab far past key items. So what exactly is it anyway? Well, once you clear the 4 obliterator trial shrines, Link holds a glowing obliterator in a cutscene. This obliterator is not the one usually found in game. Instead, it's a separate weapon which is only present in this cutscene. And this weapon has a few unique properties. It permanently glows blue since it needs to do so in the cutscene. There's no name or description in inventory. Your health doesn't go down when active and has infinite durability. Usually, it's given to you for the cutscene and taken away right afterwards. But here, because our inventory was screwed up, it ended up in a tab the game can't read. So, the game can't delete as expected, giving us a weapon. But that's not the end of the process. No, while we may have the item, we still need to power it up, as well as bring it back to our main save file. So, to fix that, go to Link's house in Hateno, have your special obliterator equipped and hang it on a weapon stand, get another autosave and quit the game. If you reopen it, you'll notice the inventory is gone. Yeah, that's what happens if the count is below 0 and the game is allowed to resync the data. It's also advised to get an autosave near Hateno village at this point, since the wrong warp you did has probably messed up your respawn point for that autosave. Still, as nice as the weapon might be, it's rather useless if it only has 1 attack power. Fortunately, you can use a weapon modify corruption glitch to power it up too. So, load your manual save, or better yet, a master mode save with more materials, then choose a recipe you feel like using. If you're a HPE expert, you can use frozen or cooked food to give yourself 120 attack power. But if not, the following recipe should work fine. 1 palm fruit, 1 fairy, and 1 of each kind of dragon horn. Then, once you've got the recipe, set up the IST slots to cover your key items plus 1 recipe. Load the autosave with the obliterator. Update the inventory by getting or dropping an item. Get an autosave. Then close the game. Now, head back to your other file and set up 60 meals. It doesn't matter what these meals are, so we'd advise not going too fancy and instead using meals made up of 1 material each. Set up enough IST slots to cover your key items plus those 60 meals. Now, load the autosave and the obliterator should have at least 106 attack power. If it does, put the obliterator on the weapon stand. Get rid of the meals, then get an autosave. And exit the game. This will clear the inventory, making it easier to transfer the obliterator back. Now, head to main file and set up enough IST slots to cover your key items, the champion abilities, plus 1 meal. Yeah, we are treating the champion abilities separately here, because if you use IST a few many times, the game will seemingly duplicate them with weird results. This happens because of a failsafe in the game. Put simply, if you lose the champion abilities or travel medallion, the game will re-add them when you reopen your file. Either way, if your M count is positive when you reload a file with IST, then it seems like the champion abilities will be duplicated because this failsafe will accidentally trigger. It's not a huge deal, since any dupe champion abilities do go away if you exit and re-enter the game. But they mess up your IST count, so you've got to plan for it nonetheless. Once you've got the slots, load the autosave, go to Link's house, get the obliterator, get rid of any meals and materials that got transferred over, and then load the manual save again. If done right, the new obliterator should be there and you should now have it on your main save. Resync the inventory by either collecting or dropping and picking up an item, then save and exit, then re-enter the game. Congrats! You've now got the obliterator and can now destroy everything in sight. What's more, if that's still not enough, you can just use another glitch that changes durability and exploits its unbreakable nature too. You see, while the Obliterator doesn't lose durability, it still does double damage when it's about to break. Here's how to do it. First, get a weapon that can break, ideally one that can break quickly. Then, equip it and save the game. Now, damage the weapon until it breaks. While you're doing so, count the number of hits until that happens. Next, reload your save and damage the weapon until it's 2 hits away from breaking. Now, get a multi-shot bow, equip a shock arrow, drop it, switch bow and repeat. When Link becomes invisible in the menu, then switch to the Obliterator from your current weapon. Pick up your bows, hit something to damage it, then switch weapon, etc. Now, the Obliterator has just 1 durability and should now have double attack power. But there are some oddities to watch out for. Most notably, this kind of breaks Flurry Rush. That's because critical hits usually send small enemies flying, meaning that when you hit them, the Flurry Rush ends and the enemy bounces around like some sort of pinball. It's not a huge issue since things like Lionels and bosses are unaffected, but it does mean Flurry Rush is basically broken for things like Bokoblins, Lizalfos, Moblins, etc. It also doesn't work right against Ganon in the second phase of the final boss fight. That's because his shield regenerates if you use his weapon, since a critical hit breaks Flurry Rush and starts it back up again. So, against Ganon's second phase, the 200 damage one isn't the best option. Still, it's not a big issue, since you can easily duplicate the weapon and get a few hundred of them, including those out the bonus. There's also a weird effect if you complete the last Obliterator shrine with this special Obliterator equipped. Put simply, once you do, the cutscene will glitch and leave you holding a glowing white Obliterator for the time being. This Obliterator is a very strange one since it's technically smuggled and doesn't actually do any damage. In this state, it makes a weird jangling sound when you walk around. You collect it if you press A to interact with someone, and if you equip it with another weapon, it makes a really weird sound when you attack. Sadly, it's mostly useless, but it's a neat visual effect and a fun gimmick to mess around with nonetheless. So yeah, that's how to get Breath of the Wild's ultimate melee weapon. It's a bit of a long process, but it's well worth it in the end, giving you an amazing weapon with over 200 attack power and infinite durability without any drawbacks go along with it. Hope you found this useful and that you too can make use of Ultra Obliterator in Breath of the Wild. If you found the video interesting, give it a like, subscribe to our channel if you want to see more, then leave your thoughts in the comments below on social media or on our Discord server today.